Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So, you see the thumbnail, you see the title. Every man should have at least one of these fragrances. Do I mean this literally for this video? No, I don't. Not, per se, but I do think that every man who at least is trying to have some type of a fragrance collection where, you're wearing more than one. Every fragrance that I mentioned today, or at least the category of the fragrance that it's representing, I think every man can have a benefit from in terms of getting the most out of their fragrance wears, or it being something that is very useful for you when you're choosing a fragrance that you want to wear with some type of regularity. So that's essentially what we're talking about today. Every man should have at least one of these fragrances in terms of what each one of these fragrances I'm going to talk about can represent or can do for you in terms of being a good fragrance choice. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and remember, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and get it started. First up, from the house of Bond number 9, we've got the Scent of Peace. Bond number 9's the Scent of Peace. What is this basically representing? An Aventus style fragrance. If you smell this, you do know this is going to be a fragrance that has similarities to Aventus. Doesn't smell exactly like it. It's more of an inspiration style Aventus fragrance, but point being is, I think any man can benefit from having either Aventus itself or an Aventus style fragrance, or even a clone Aventus fragrance in their cabinet, mainly because the scent profile is just so freaking versatile. So if you're gonna be a collector or even have just a small collection, you really can't go wrong with having a fragrance like this in your cabinet. And frankly, if you are a collector, most guys probably do. You've either got Aventus, or you've got probably Club de Nuit Intense Man from Aramov, or just an inspired by Aventus fragrance. And I'm a fan of having inspired by Aventus fragrances because they give you a different take on that, super cloned Aventus DNA. This fragrance, just like Aventus, very versatile, can pretty much work for anything, is pleasing to the nose, pleasing to the wearer, and pleasing to the people around you. However, if you do want to look into the Scent of Peace in particular, definitely get it for discounters, because for what Bond number 9 sells this for at full retail, it's definitely not worth it at that price. You can usually find this for a decent discounted price, just my opinion. So once again, from the house of Bond number 9, this is the Scent of Peace. Next up, coming from the house of Mancera, we've got Vetiver Sensuel. Mancera's Vetiver Sensuel, and what do you get from this fragrance? You get a clean fragrance. I think every man can benefit from having a fragrance that gives off a sense of cleanliness to it. I really like this one. A lot of juicy citrus in the opening, and it's just this blend of great citruses. Kind of has a wateriness to it, smells amazing. You've also got mint and orchid, given this really is what I think gives the cleanliness nature of the fragrance. The mint's not super candied, or it's really blended in there. It doesn't stand out, too strong, but it doesn't come across as like a candied mint or toothpaste mint, which is very nice. And of course, a very clean vetiver in the base. A very easy fragrance to wear, one of the easiest vetiver fragrances on the market in my opinion, and you will definitely come across as smelling clean with this fragrance. And also, just a side note, pretty good performance on this one as well, which you don't always get from fragrances that give off a clean vibe. So once again, from the house of Mancera, this is Vetiver Sensuel, a great clean fragrance choice. Next up, coming from the house of Valentino, Uomo Intense. Valentino Uomo Intense. So this is gonna be the night out, date night, evening out fragrance choice. Every man who's gonna have more than one fragrance, you gotta have one that's for those nights out. Doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but I do think this is a great one. This one's gonna be done in the style of a Dior Homme Intense, kind of Valentino's take on that style of fragrance. But what you're gonna find with this one is it's gonna be quite a bit sweeter than you might find with Dior Homme Intense, but you still got that powdery, creamy, kind of makeup-y iris in here. There's some nice clary sage in this. This does have a very nice leather accord to go with it as well. As I stated, doesn't necessarily have to be this fragrance in particular. This is just one I wanted to give a little bit of shine to because this stuff still blows my mind as to how good it is. Obviously, Valentino in general has gone quite a different direction with their newer fragrances, but either way, a good night out fragrance. Can't go wrong with having that in your arsenal. Every guy at least needs one of those if you're gonna be a collector, in my opinion. Once again, from the House of Valentino, this is Uomo Intense. All right, next up, we got one from the House of Tom Ford. This is Ombre Leather Parfum. Tom Ford, Ombre Leather Parfum. And you probably could guess why I put this one on here. I think every guy can benefit from a nice leather fragrance. I think leather is one of the most masculine notes you can wear. But granted, leather's not necessarily a note that really appeals to a lot of people, but good thing about ombre leather is it's probably the most mass appealing leather fragrance DNA on the market, and that is the Parfum or the Eau de Parfum. Does anybody remember there was some rumblings about an Eau de Toilette version coming out? I wonder what's happening with that. I haven't heard or seen anything else from it, so maybe that was just rumors. Either way, this is a very easy to wear leather fragrance DNA. It's quite smooth, it's not animalic, has a lot of nice supporting florals to kind of smooth it out, just a touch of sweetness in it. And yes, the Parfum or the Eau de Parfum can work. Now, everybody might not necessarily agree that everybody needs a leather fragrance DNA, but I think you can benefit from one, and it might as well be Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. Super popular, super successful release from the House of Tom Ford, and in my opinion, still going to be the most popular and easiest to wear leather DNA in fragrance form. So once again, from the House of Tom Ford, we've got Ombre Leather Parfum. All right, next up, coming from the House of Rochas, we have got Rochas L'Homme. Rochas L'Homme. So this one pretty much falls into, at least for me, the grab and go category. You cannot go wrong, in my opinion, with having a fragrance that I don't need to think about it. I just need to grab it, spray it, and go do what I need to do. And this one definitely fits into that category. This is going to be what I like to call dark citrus fragrance. It's got blood orange in the opening, mixing with a little bit of pineapple and some spice via cardamom. And it has mostly an aromatic touch to it. Just kind of a nice, balanced, pleasant aromatic touch. Just a touch of sweetness to, kind of balance it out. Will you get necessarily crazy attention with this fragrance? I don't necessarily think so, but will you smell pleasant? Absolutely. This fragrance just kind of works for, if you just need something to smell nice, you can't go wrong with this one. And in my opinion, it's a good idea to have a grab and go fragrance that's not super expensive either. So if it's one that you use often, you can easily re-up on it. This one goes for a very nice price on discounters, and there are many others that do the same thing. So it's nice for a guy who's gonna have a collection to have fragrances that you can just grab them and spray it on. And I think this is a good one. Once again, from the House of Rochas, this is Rochas L'Homme. All right, next up, coming from the House of Jean Varvatos, this is Artisan Pure. Jean Varvatos, Artisan Pure. So what this pretty much covers is going to be warm weather, summertime fragrances. I think every guy should have a nice, fresh, and bright, even vacation vibe like summertime fragrance, because unless you live in the Arctic and you never get summer temperatures, you're gonna want something that can kind of cater to that heat, so to speak. So this one has some very nice citrus accords in it, has some petit grain, kind of a woody vibe as well, and also has some iris to smooth it out and just some kind of basic clean woods. This is a really good fragrance. I think many would consider this probably the best from the House of Jean Varvatos. One of the best summertime fragrances you can get year over year. It's still a popular one that people seem to look for when the summer months roll around. And honestly, I still think it's one of the better summertime fragrances you can get on the market today for the price point that it goes for. Another one that you don't have to pay a whole lot of money for, therefore making it, I think, a really good choice for having a summer fragrance that every guy can benefit from, especially if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money for your fragrance purchases. So great summertime or vacation choice, in my opinion. Once again, from the House of Jean Varvatos, this is Artisan Pure. All right, and last but not least, coming from the house of Thameen, London, this is Amber Room. Thameen, London's Amber Room. And for this category, this could have been anything. This is, if you're gonna have a collection, you gotta have a fragrance that you just simply love. It doesn't matter if it works for a lot of scenarios or not. In my opinion, at least, have something that you think smells amazing and, wear it when you wanna wear it. For me, I just chose to go with this one. I could have picked almost anything in my fragrance cabinet for it. This fragrance here is, of course, an amber fragrance. You would hope it would be, since it's given in the name. It's pretty much Thameen's take on something like Dior's Ombre Nuit. So it is a rose amber fragrance featuring some spice and some earthy notes. This one opens up kind of nice with some grapefruit and ginger-like accords, mixing with a little bit of fresh spices. Something like cardamom is in here, and then you have that rose, spicy rose, earthy, ambery DNA that's similar to Ombre Nuit, and this one has a very nice, rich patchouli to go along with it. Fragrance smells stunning in my opinion. It's not necessarily going to impress a whole lot of people, I don't think, but I do love this fragrance DNA, and that's why I chose to feature it. It's just one that I simply love, and you could pretty much use it for whatever you want to use it for. So have a fragrance in your collection that you just simply love, and also make sure it's one that you actually wear. It doesn't make a lot of sense for it to just sit on the cabinet, in my opinion. But it's good to have a fragrance that, hey, I just like this DNA so much, I want it in my collection. That's just me. So once again, coming from the house of Thameen, London, this is Amber Room. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Every man should have at least one of these fragrance categories in their collection. Let me know, do you agree with this kind of list where you should have something that at least covers one of these base points? If you do, share a fragrance that you have that covers one of the base points I covered in the video. Thank you guys for watching all the way into the end. Remember to be well and smell well, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.